Alright, hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Late Night Rant. This week's episode I'd like to share my thoughts and opinions on the new Elektron DIGITONE. Let's get right into it. Well, I was right, I predicted it in my latest video. Check it out. I'm really hoping that we're going to see a merger between a mono machine and a digitact. So it's going to be a digital synthesizer in a digitact form factor. Well, I got the name wrong and my visualization of the form factor was a little bit different from what they actually released, but I did predict a digital synthesizer in a digitact form factor, so I'm pretty excited about that. So in my video I was expecting more of a mono machine clone, but I guess I'm too much focused on the past. Elektron, on the other hand, they're looking into the future and they designed a digital synthesizer that's based on an FM synth engine, which is rather good for the resale value of the mono machine because it means that it's going to keep its rather decent second-hand market value. The name of the synthesizer is DIGITONE, not monotact as I predicted, but it's pretty cool. It is an 8-voice FM-based digital synthesizer with a subtractive signal flow, which means that in addition to an FM synth engine you get the filters and the LFOs like you would in a normal synthesizer. This is a concept that was first introduced by the mono machine back in the day, and I gotta admit that it worked beautifully. It also has 4 synthesizer tracks and 4 MIDI tracks. Pretty awesome. So when I first saw the announcement, I was particularly excited about the bass width filter making a comeback. This is a filter that is known from the Octatrack, mono machine and the machine drum, and in my opinion this is one of the most powerful sound design tools ever introduced. And in the past I have gone on record asking for this filter to be reintroduced, so I'm super excited to have it back. But I found out that it's not resonant. So effectively it only has a fraction of the sound sculpting possibilities of the Octatrack, because on the Octatrack you could add resonance and you could also select whether the resonance should affect the high pass or the low pass or both. I'm actually really hoping that this is something that can be introduced with a future software update. But all in all, I'm super excited to have 2 filters per voice because it means that your sound editing capabilities are much larger. But when it comes to some really good things about the device, it has 4 tracks, 2 LFOs per track and 2 filters per track. I actually always felt that a single LFO per track and a single filter per track were the biggest limitations of the analog rhythm and the digitact. So I'm super excited to see that the DIGITONE has actually 2 LFOs and 2 filters per track. Awesome news. According to the architecture of the filter, the bass width filter goes first and the multimode goes second. And here's another problem with the resonance being only on the multimode filter, because if it goes second, it means that if you crank up the resonance and assign it to a random LFO to create some crazy sounds, you cannot tame it with the bass width filter after. So it would make much more sense to have the first filter resonant and the second filter non-resonant, or obviously having both filters with resonance. Another really cool thing about DIGITONE is that you can process external signals using effects like reverb, chorus and delay. And by the way, that reverb sounds great. I think that with every new iteration they improve that algorithm and it sounds better on every other device that they release. Of course it would be great to be able to run those external signals through a resonant filter, but that would complicate the architecture of the DIGITONE, and the Digi series is all about simplicity. Just like the digitact, it has the control all function, which is a very cool option that I really like and I'm looking forward to trying it out. So now let's talk a little bit about the Synth Engine. At first I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't get the SID machine or the DigiPro machine from the mono machine, but I have to go on record and say that the FM instrument was the most powerful instrument on the mono machine. So I guess it's a reasonable choice to select that engine as your main engine for your new digital synthesizer. The mono machine, in my opinion, had the most intuitive, most fun, and one of the best sounding FM engines out there. It really sounded awesome. Just listen to a couple of clips that I recorded when I owned the mono machine. And I do love my Volca FM, but the mono machine went really beyond what the Volca is capable of in terms of punch, AD converters and dynamics of the sound. With that being said, as intuitive, quick and fun the mono machine FM engine was, it wasn't really all that deep. So you couldn't really be deliberate about it and you couldn't really go in depth in terms of synthesis, in my opinion. Even the manual said it. Check it out. So the Digitone sounds much more complex when it comes to the FM engine. And it seems like they really were looking into making this FM engine fun and easy to program, but also pretty deep. So let's talk about the engine. It has 4 operators and 2 of them are always carriers, and you can mix their signals, which is pretty cool. You get 8 algorithms and you can actually modify the waveform. So you're not limited to sine waves only, as was the case with the DX7. So it's more like a Yamaha rephase engine where you can get multiple waveforms, multiple shapes of your oscillators. So you can access those waveforms by using the harmonics parameter on the device, and actually the screen shows you those different shapes, which is really cool. You can get sine, obviously, saw, square, and bell, and you can also reduce the saw and the square to go into a super saw or a super square. And Chang Mr. Dataline even demonstrated the ability to recreate some pulse width modulation in there. Pretty cool. Then you get the ratios, which are pretty similar to the mono machine. And then it has 2 envelopes, one for operator A and one for operator B1 and B2 together. I obviously heard criticism that 4 operators require 4 envelopes in order for this to be a proper FM synthesizer, but I have to try it out myself. Based on my experience with the mono machine, I think it could be enough to generate some cool, amazing FM sounds very intuitively. When it comes to the engine itself, I actually like the fact that it's going to be easy, fun, and quick to make cool sounds with it. If I want to really go in depth with FM synthesis, I have my Volca FM using the Patchbase app, and I can really explore the FM sounds. But the reality is that I have used those in-depth options with the Volca FM maybe once or twice, really, because it's a lot of production to get into those editing capabilities. So I love the fact that the Digitone is going to be hands-on, easy to use, intuitive, and fun. And obviously with the Elektron sequencer, everything can be P-locked. And I'm super excited about exploring conditional locks, trig conditions as I call them, with the FM engine, because as you know, I'm a huge fan of conditional trigs, and the option to assign those probabilities and conditions to the FM engine is going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure of that. So all in all, I think it's going to be a super fun synthesizer to play with. I love the fact that it's small and because it's going to fit in my studio. And I also love the fact that the price point is very reasonable for an Elektron machine. So I can't wait to test it here in the studio, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting one in the future. Yeah, so that's it for this episode of Late Night Rant. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on the Digitone. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to catch more tutorials, more jams, and more opinions. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great night and take care.